You're listening to the Boxing Coalition.
And he just broke the guy's heart. The guy had nothing left, and he knew he couldn't last another 4 or 5 rounds.
Ricky Wars just knocks his soul.
What it is, let's get it.
Fuck that, this your destiny, nigga. You hear
Let's
me?
get it.
Go kick his motherfucker.
Get that motherfucker in.
Let's see you do that. Little step back, bang, bang, bang. Little step back, bang, bang.
Bang, 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 bang. Try and stop it. Bang, bang. Here I come. Bang. You want to throw sometime? Bang.
Body shot. Boom, 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 boom. Go to the body. Kill that body. You took his nuts, now you gotta take his heart.
Yeah, take his whole soul away.
Yeah, get out of here, Dale. I'll see you later. Fight someone credible. Get out of here.
He was higher than a motherfucker. I'll tell you, he was stoned as fuck.
No, it's only a majority decision if there was an even score. There's no even score here. You're an official, right? You're an official of the state. Well, then you don't understand how to score.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable. The crowd here on FightOTY.
He's ready to be whooped, man. He's ready to be whooped. He's ready to be whooped.
And Howard Foster has stopped it. Wow. That is going to be controversial.
But you really liked to stand toe-to-toe with him in the 12th round, even if you thought you won the fight. It was on. Did you like that? I love you.
Hello, and welcome to the Boxing Coalition, a place to discuss anything boxing. We have a rotating panel of hosts that consist of Chemo, Mao Alpha, Cam, Daniel Lim, and MV Chu. If you want to have your say, call in on Skype. Just add Box Coalition and get involved in the show.
Hi guys, and welcome to the last Boxing Coalition episode of 2014. Most of you would agree that it's been a shit year. Let's just hope 2015 is much better. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, Kevin Horn, Ari Gold Boss. What's happening, fellas?
What's up, Big Cam?
What's up, Cam?
Yo, it's the end of year review. Obviously not much boxing to talk about because people had the holiday period, Christmas, etc. So let's just get into some obvious awards, you know. Fighter of the year, knockout of the year, fight of the year. I'll let Ari choose. Where do you want to start first?
Knockout of the year.
Okay, we'll start with knockout of the year. Guys in the chat, we need you to help throw in some picks.
Suggestions?
Yeah, suggestions.
Remind us.
And then
like
we'll give us our
we
2
don't
cents.
do this for a living. This ain't our job, so
yeah.
Shit slips out of mind. You know what I'm saying? We don't have time to prep like that. So
I always say I'm going to do some
the
prep.
chat could definitely throw some stuff out there and help us out, man.
Definitely. I always say I'm going to do some prep at the start of the show. Then I end up just like fucking checking Twitter, and then an hour passes by and I'm like, shit, I've done no preparation for the show. We're live in 10 minutes. But yeah, knockout of the year, for me, there's quite a few. There was Marvin Sansona versus Shimoda in China. I think it was on a Zhu Shiming undercard in February. It was like he jabbed him, his 2 southpaws. He jabbed him and threw a left uppercut, just took him out cold, clean. That was one of them. Another one was a recent one. It was Amir Mansour versus Fred Cassie. I think he caught him with a right hook.
Yeah.
Just totally laid
that was
him out.
Sensational.
Yeah, that's maybe 2. And obviously, my personal pick is Froch versus Groves, I think, just because of the whole event. But people in the chat, a lot of people are putting Amir Mansour, Andy Lee, which is a great shout against Jackson. Obviously, you got the stoppage against Korobov, but obviously the one-punch stoppage against Jackson was pretty brutal. So, guys, what do you think?
Or you go first. I'm about to log into Mixler, so let me hear yours.
Off the wall. Or play by ear, I'll say. I still want to go with Froch, man. I still want to go with Froch because I still remember my reaction to it. It was my biggest reaction to a knockout this year, definitely. I was on my sofa, I was watching it, I was just hopped up, started going crazy. Everyone knows I don't like Groves, so that was very enjoyable for me. So I think I'll go with Froch, even though the Andy Lee knockout, the guy's out cold. So you could say that one as well, even though the way Groves went down as well, like leg under, he could have torn ACL the way he dropped. You know what I mean? Like I'm going with Froch, man. I'm going with my boy Frotch.
Yeah, and I think you see, like, knockout of the year, the ones that usually win it are the ones where guys get basically knocked dead and they're removed from their senses. They fall over their leg. They fall face first. Me, I'm kind of going another way with it because of my own personal bias. My favorite one, of course, well, before I get to my favorite, I love the Andy Lee over Jackson one just because the way the fight was such a slugfest and you were kind of waiting for the one punch that was going to end it for either guy. So I like that one. I know Naota mentioned a bunch of ones of the lighter weight classes that I don't really watch, that I saw the videos of that were pretty sensational. But I don't know, man. I love the I love Porky fucking making Jay Leon Love do the stanky leg, man. He had him on the ground doing the stanky leg combined with the MV Chew too much twerking TNT. I was like, that might put it over the top for me. And it was just the way that the whole card was basically built up for Jay Love to basically, as a showcase, and they were building him up as after this win, he should be in line for the next level title type guys. And the camera was just right across, and you see Floyd and all of his women looking around like, holy shit, and the stun looked on their faces. I was like, man, that was good for me, man. I was cool with that one.
His mama running towards him.
Yeah, his mom, everything. That shit was, we don't have the one like in a major fight where it was like, obviously the year before when Marquez did to Pacquiao, which is like obvious, like hands down, you know what I mean? So I like that one as my favorite. As a second runner up, and I think it'll probably win another category as in like the Knock Stupid of the Year award, would be what Porter did to Malignaggi and had him basically on Queer Street. And ever since then, Malignaggi's been a belligerent idiot, so I might give him a little honorable mention as well. But I'm going with Porky, who came out and just ruined the TMT party. Also, the guy who did Badu Jack, I wasn't sure if that was this year or the end of last year, though.
Edwards. No, I think that was this year.
Dion Edwards. I thought it was in the beginning of this year, so those are my two.
Nice. Other ones in the chat, people obviously mentioning Danny Garcia and Rod Salka. For me, it was a good knockout, but because of the levels between them, it kind of took away something from me personally.
Yeah, I can't do that because of the levels myself. And you saw it happen, and I kind of felt bad for it. Like, I was like, oh, man, don't do him like that. But it was a good highlight. That was a great vine. It was a great vine.
Yeah. For the guys in the chat, we're going to go between, it's like a serious nominations and then like silly nominations. So the next category we're going to go is weight put on by boxers out of camp. And obviously the main one you're going to look at is Adrian Cruiserweight Broner. But
I don't know. You also got to see Khan when he was rocking the fucking Austin Powers bathing suit with the purse over his shoulder, too.
I was going to mention that, like, because I'm not biased. I will diss Khan when I need to diss him. But, yeah, man, that was a bad look. Those pictures on the beach, man, with that Speedo and, like, his belly hanging out, it wasn't a good look. But another one was, I think it was during an Ice Bucket Challenge. Tim Bradley was looking a bit chubby, and I don't know if you ever guys seen that video.
Yeah, he was looking like he was about $180.
Yeah.
He was looking like the Michelin Man out there.
Definitely. But King Jay saying in the chat, Chad Dawson, yeah, man, when Chad came back in that undercard fight, I think that was at the StubHub, he looked like shit.
Yeah, he looked awful, and he even came into the fight looking awful, so it's not like that. I actually made a tweet today about, I got it because, Fight Hype had a couple videos up of Broner hitting the heavy bag, and I was like, you know what, for a guy who gets so big in between fights, he definitely got to train pretty hard because he comes into the weigh-in and fight night looking ripped and ready. And so he's got to be a hard worker. But, man, that can't be good for your body, ballooning up like that and, carrying that type of muscle. So
it surprises me that, like, a lot of these guys don't take care of themselves outside the camps because, for me, if I'm a professional boxer, I don't want to go into camp having to lose so much weight because you're just doing a lot of cardio and a lot of running.
It's
and
fat
a lot
camp.
Of road work.
It's not training camp.
And then the last month you might start doing the technical stuff where if you're already near your fight weight, you can do all the technical stuff, a lot more and cover a lot more basis. But I'm not a professional boxer. What do I know? But yo, Kev, sorry, Ari, have you got any others you want to mention? Any fatties that balloon up between fights?
Nah. When Brooke was up, when he was that this year, how Brook was looking after he pulled out the Devon fight, the last one.
Yeah,
and I remember seeing him on ringside. He looked out of shape.
Yeah, was that this year though? I think that was last year.
I think it might have been last year.
I'm
you're
not
right.
sure, but yeah, all right. Let's go.
Wait, hold on. Let me check.
All right, while you're checking.
Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah,
forget that.
Right.
Scratch that.
All right, let's go to another serious nomination. KH, what do you want to go for next? Maybe Fighter of the Year or?
I mean, if we already did Knockout of the Year, I think we could already start moving into Fight of the Year.
Okay.
I mean, I only really go with the Fight of the Year, Trainer of the Year, Knockout of the Year, and Fighter of the Year. So I only really do the 4 ones.
I really want to go for them anyway. I don't like when people start going too deep into it, man. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, so I mean, if we already did the Knockout, I say we stay with the Fight, and then we can go with the Trainer and then Fighter.
Okay. You got any suggestions?
So what do you guys think for Fight of the Year? I know we basically did this halfway through the year, and we kind of had a disagreement. So
yeah, for me, Lucas Molina is the obvious choice. Crawford Gamboa, I think Cocky Jim versus Salido, and the UK fight a lot of people might not have seen that I've mentioned about 20 times because I love that fight was Tommy Coyle versus Daniel Brizuela in Hull. I think that was in February. For me, they're probably the 4 off the top of my head. Like I said, I didn't do any research, but you guys got any?
Mine early in the year was the Crawford and Gamboa, and it kind of was the whole time. I mean, I just thought it was a bit higher level than the Molina-Matisse, and I know Molina knocked Matisse down a couple times, but even besides those rounds, Matisse really dominated him for the rest of the fight in most every round besides the knockdowns. And I just thought there was more back and forth. Even when Gamboa was getting battered around, all of a sudden he would connect with something great, and he was more explosive, and he was winning those early rounds. So I just thought it was a bit higher level, and I thought it was more competitive. And then that could be even like almost a knockout of the year. That freaking uppercut was unreal, and I think that kind of propelled Crawford to stardom. So that's kind of why I went with Fight of the Year. But I got to say, it was just a weak year, and I guess a lot of the Fight of the Years were at the lower weights. Again, I wish Naoto was on the show because he knows a bunch of them, and he's called out at least 3 of them that, I'm sure other people in the chat have seen that would be better fights of the year. I just, casual Kevin, I haven't been into boxing, and I'm not going to watch guys where the referee dwarfs the boxer.
That's true. Ari, you got any others that I haven't mentioned, or anything you want to add to the ones I have mentioned?
No, I think mine's still Crawford. So I think Crawford Gamboa. I think, in my opinion, there wasn't that many great fights. I think last year had better fights. So I'll go with Crawford. I didn't, me. I'm not really a guy who really loves the, just swinging, just pure brawling.
Yeah.
After a while, it gets kind of boring to me. Like, where if they're landing so much on the guy, why are you not really hurting him? Why are you not getting him out of there? But I think Crawford, he had his problems in early rounds, and he adjusted. He took him out. He did what he had to do. He didn't. He wasn't swinging him for 12 rounds. Done brawling, and he got him out of there. He adapted. He got him out of there, and it was entertaining at the same time. So I think I'll go with that.
That's
I see Local Mexican in the chat talking about the Turd Sack Salido fight. There was also a good fight. I know the Meza Clay fight was a good fight, but there was another good fight on that Fox Sport 1 card. And like I said, I wish I had more time to prepare, but, laid up on surgery and taking painkillers on the couch, I'd rather, watch a couple shows and take a nice nap than kind of really start going through these fights. But nothing really stood out. And I think for Fight of the Year, it's got to be a fight that has impact on the next year or era moving forward. And that's kind of why I went with Crawford, because I think he's the guy who made the biggest statement moving forward, like what's going to happen here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Anything to add, guys, before I move on to another silly nomination? Okay. Best cook of the year. For me, there's 2 candidates. You got the obvious Chepo, the barbecues for Canelo. Those guys are eating good off him. And then on the other hand, you got Mr. Avocado himself. What do you guys think of?
I don't know. I think Chepo put it down. And shout out to Lim, but Canelo's thickness takes over, Mr. Avocado's wristbands. So I'm gonna go with Chepo on that one. He was putting in some serious work on those grills.
Yeah, I'm going for Chepo as well, because he puts the work in like in every camp where, yo, Algeria's just eating the same shit every day, man. Come on, Algeria, man, step your game up. And plus, you
yeah,
came
man,
in.
he's taking pictures of my breakfast. It's the same fucking toast with 2 eggs, avocado. Come on, man. I know we go to the same school and we're alumni and all that, but come on, dude.
Nah, and the worst thing is he came in overweight as well after all that talk. I know we mentioned that in previous shows, but like, come on, you can't go on like you're some super nutritionist, make your food yourself. You get the kitchen's little section in the hotel you're staying at so you can make your own food, and then you come in overweight, man. Come on. But all right, let's go back to the series nominations. Which one did you want to mention next, Kev? Was it?
I guess we go with Trainer of the Year, and then we can move into Fighter of the Year.
For me, Trainer of the Year is a bit of a difficult one because I don't think any one trainer has stood out that much this year.
No one had a massive year. No one had multiple guys make a big run. No one had, it was tough. I don't know who people in the chat think. I know we're going to get some shout outs for Tim Lane because he was obviously, probably a candidate for a couple of our made up ones coming up soon. But when you look at all the standard guys, you see Roach. I mean, as much as I was never a big Roach fan, what he did with Pacquiao beating Bradley, where everybody picked Bradley, and then he also had Cotto beating Sergio, where everybody picked Sergio before the fight. That kind of gives me a little lean towards him. But a lot of his other, like the smaller fighters, like if a guy like DeMarco would have won, against Vargas, then that's something that you could say. But in retrospect, those fights don't look as impressive for him to be Trainer of the Year. And then Virgil Hunter, what he really do? You know what I mean? I guess Khan had, I don't know. I really don't know who to give it to.
For me, like the Freddie pick is probably the best, but only like if you go deep into it. Cotto was facing a guy with one knee, Pacquiao had a great fight and a great win over Bradley in the second fight. But then he fought Chris Algieri, which was kind of like it was a gimme fight, really. Like I don't think anyone that had a brain went from Algieri. I know a lot of people went for Algieri, but I don't know why they did that. I was clearly on the Pacquiao train for that fight. So yeah, I know.
And then you take Garcia, who's got the biggest camp, and he had big wins, but he had big losses. Like I don't know, it's tough. Somebody in the chat just threw up Adam Booth, I guess Dave the Sinister, you know what I mean? And that's not bad either. And then I forgot who I said the other day who I was serious about and people thought I was joking, which was a good trainer. But Ari, you got anybody?
Oh, first off, I don't see it Booth because people forget, but Booth is
he also had
he was training.
What's his name? Groves, right?
No, not this year, but he was training. Was his name Perez?
Mike Perez, yeah.
Yeah. He trained him and he kind of failed at him.
Yeah, but that's more to blame on Mike Perez because he's a lazy mofo, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But what's really Booth done? Other than the Andy Lee win, what's he really done?
Yeah, and I agree. I'm not
really but Andy Lee had two spectacular wins and made himself his way to a title. No one would have predicted that in the beginning of this year,
Yeah, true. But no, I have to go Roach.
It's kind of weak. It's tough. Fuck. I mentioned somebody earlier, like 3 days ago in our chat, and I can't remember
David Jackson.
Now. Oh, yeah, John David Jackson. Because basically everybody was killing Kovalev for being this one-dimensional crusher, and he showed to have a lot more dimensions. He had a good game plan. He was good in the corner. But again, it's a guy with one fighter. You have a guy with one fighter. That's kind of... To win Trainer of the Year, it's tough, especially if they only really have one really big win. You know what I mean? That's kind of tough.
Yeah, Captain Jack mentioned in the chat earlier about Joe Gallagher, but I don't know. None of his fighters like really fight on a high world level. Like they're good at domestic and kind of good at European, but they don't really kind of get to the upper echelon of like the highest fights. So it's difficult.
Yeah, I'm not rating them.
You hate Joe Gallagher. You never go.
I'm not rating them quick wins where the guy's fight doesn't even know he's fighting less than a month away.
Yeah, but
it was such a bad year for the sport that nothing stands out. Nothing really took over, so there's really nothing to jump at. Salka, trainer of the year. Fuck that. You could hurt after the fight. This is what we do. Come on, man. You got that guy coaching in fights, man. I don't know. Virgil Hunter maybe for his Under the Lights special on HBO, where
Schooling Bradley,
where he convinced people that Algieri really had a chance to win or something like that. I don't know.
No, but the reason I wanted to mention Gallagher, because I knew that Ari would come back at me, and I don't know why. Just like Ari hates Gallagher, so even if Gallagher's fighters won like 5 of them won world titles, like Ari still wouldn't give him trainer of the year, would you, Ari?
None of them have world titles.
Agreed, but
I don't count Quig.
I know you don't count the regular. I don't count the regular, to be honest.
So
yeah.
No.
So I don't know, man. I guess Boxing Writers Association is always going to go with either. Like I said in the chat, if Roach is breathing, Roach wins it.
To be fair, Roach has got some that he hasn't deserved, but I think off how weak this year is, that I think he most probably deserves it this year. So I'll give it to Roach. My
two guys are John David Jackson, just for the one job he did with the one fighter, and as well as Roach, because, like I said, when I was picking Pacquiao on Twitter, everybody was killing me. Maybe because I'm known for being a Mayweather hater. I know I think Jazz in the chat said that there's more people outside of the Boxing Voice panel, but even the callers who called in, everybody was picking Bradley. Pacquiao was supposedly done. And honestly, it's tough because of the shape Sergio was in, but I said it before the fight. I was like, I can't believe the shape Cotto got in. Like, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's throwing bombs. Like, I think trainer of the year extends to the, that's Assault McMillan, the trainer in the camp. You know what I mean? Because it's the whole camp, what they do in the 8 weeks. And those guys got in sick shape. But it's hard to give it to him when, his fighter Provatnikov lost to Algieri. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'll probably go with John David Jackson.
I'd probably go with Roach if I was pushed to give an answer. Just to play devil's advocate though, Linear 1030 in the chat mentioned Abe Sanchez, but he can't be for me just because, again, he's only a trainer that really has one main fighter, obviously Triple G.
Yeah, and Triple G didn't have a win over a legend like Hopkins where he thoroughly dominated him like that. You know what I mean?
Triple G's, I was thinking about him today, and it's a weird situation because he was initially supposed to fight Chavez Jr. in the summer, and then that fight was put off, and then you think he had the Andy Lee fight lined up, and then his father passed away, so he couldn't fight. So, that was a blessing in disguise. I don't want to say that Triple G's father passing away was a blessing in disguise for Andy Lee, but in a way it was, because after that he got that impressive knockout over Jackson, even though he was getting beat up and he got dropped, and then obviously he's beat Korobov and won the world title. So it's pretty crazy how boxing works out sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But guys, we got my boy Hamada on the line. Are you there, Hamada? Hamada?
Yo,
what's happening?
Me, man.
You alright?
Sorry, I was in the chat. Yeah, sorry about that. What are you not saying?
Yo, we're good, man. We're good. We're just kind of chopping it through the serious nominations and the silly nominations. We've gone through We've gone through a few. At the moment,
easy for you to say.
It's not that easy. But at the moment, we're on Trainer of the Year, Hamada. What's your thoughts about Trainer of the Year?
Well, I said in the chat, it's Freddie Roach. It has to be Freddie Roach, really, because no one else, like Cotto, Marti, and Pacquiao, he had them both winning 50-50, or probably fights that his fighters were a bit, the underdogs, but so you got to give it to him. But then again, Provodnikov did lose to Algieri, so it's a difficult one. There hasn't been a standout trainer this year, to be honest. So it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about some of the past ones with Knockout of the Year? What did you think about some of those?
There was a few good ones. I think Andy Lee. I'd give it to Andy Lee, but you lot mentioned fighters blowing up between weight. You lot missed out a big one, man. Tyson Fury, man. Don't you remember how he was looking when he was fighting Joey Abel?
Yeah, but he looks fat when he's like at his fight, so he doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he apparently in the weigh-in he came in something like 280. I mean, he was in terrible. He didn't even take his clothes off in the weigh-in. He was wearing his clothes.
Yeah, there was no point.
Yeah, there was no point. But other than that, yeah, you pretty much you don't have been right with what you lot have been saying. Nothing really, you know.
Yeah, we went through one more category. We went through Fight of the Year. Is there anyone that stands out that we've not mentioned? Or what is your favourite Fight of the Year?
You know what, Cam? I think my favourite one's been Koyo and Brizuela. You know why?
Why?
I was actually watching that fight, not knowing who's actually gonna win. Like, you know, when I was watching the Crawford and Gamboa fight, I thought, I've seen Crawford before. He gives away the early round, he works out his opponent, and then he goes in and he dominates afterwards. But in this Brizuela-Koyo fight, I was watching it thinking, Koyo's going to get knocked out here. Like, what's going on? Like, is this really happening? And then just so much knockdowns, and it was, and to be honest, we did not even expect that, so we thought Koyo was just going to easily wipe out this guy and move on. So I think I would give it to that out of the fact that it was kind of unexpected. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, that's a great shout, because I totally agree about the Crawford-Gamboa fight, and even maybe the Lucas Matisse and John Molina fight. There was a momentum change in the fight, you know, like a few rounds into it, even though Gamboa and Molina were winning the early rounds, there was a change, a momentum change, where with the Coyle-Brizuela fight, there was no real momentum change. You know, they kept going back and forth, and then you had the point deductions and the warnings and all the knockdowns, and then obviously the shady decision by the ref at the end. Who I can't remember that. I think it's Steve Gray, that ref's called, off the top of my head.
Same guy that stopped the Gail Brandon Gonzalez fight. I don't remember his name, but I remember what he looks like. He's tall. Quite tall.
Yeah, Steve Gray, I think it is. But yeah, he's normally a good ref, but I think he should give Brizuela the benefit of the doubt just because of like the way the fight was panning out. But it is what it is, man. But I won't mind seeing a rematch of that, but it probably won't go down as good as the first fight.
That fight took a lot out of that Brizuela guy, because when he came back to fight Campbell, he was nothing, non-existent.
Nah, I don't think it was the fight that took it out of him. I think it's just like styles make fights, and I think Luke Campbell being a southpaw, being rangy, having that jab and all, I think he just couldn't really. Coyle's
it might have been that too.
Yeah, Coyle more brings it to him. Yeah. All right, let's move on to. Should we do another silly nomination? Let me see what I've wrote on my list.
Yeah, I wanted to go to, there's a couple ones that I saw that I liked in the chat with the Cherry Picker Award. We can get to that a little later. I wanted to go with the Winky Wright School of Business / Career Suicide of the Year, Fighter of the Year Award. I wanted to go into that one.
All right, Kev.
Which was the fighter that basically did the worst to detriment and biggest detriment to their career and financial earnings or whatever for the year. And I think there's just so many of them that we could have a little fun with it.
I'd say the favorites are Quillen and Andrade.
Yeah. I was thinking Quillen, Andrade, Stevenson. Kirkland. And then you even have an honorable mention for like Keith Thurman. A Keith Thurman who had a big contract that he turned down with whatchamacallit, with fuck is the name?
Rock Nation.
With Rock Nation, like a $6 million 3-fight contract or whatever it was. So I think there was a lot.
We've discussed this a few weeks ago, Kev, and it's difficult for me because I totally agree with you. Like these guys, I think the comment you made was like biggest career suicide in a message to me earlier this week, and obviously Avis mentioned like Quillen, Andrade, Thurman, Stevenson, but again, I said it a couple of weeks to you. It's difficult because if a guy's kind of brought you up, like Quillen and Heyman have that relationship, you've kind of got like he's put you where you are now, and you kind of got to give him a bit of that respect because you think, well, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So if he advises me not to take the fight, you know, so I've always got that in the back of my mind. I know you guys might not agree.
And the thing about the people I named besides Andrade is most of these are Heyman guys, so we could kind of go off of that and kind of just say acknowledge that all right, they're all Heyman, and maybe it wasn't the fighter's fault, but at the end of the day, we're gonna look at it like that because. I don't know, and maybe that's why I would lean towards Andrade, because that's who I really think it is. I mean, that could also go towards most delusional boxer of the year, because the guy who turned down 2 career-high paydays and completely overvalues himself, and we're left with a guy who basically had one fight, and that was against Brian Rose in June. You know what I mean? And this is a guy who talked himself into the Korobov fight, and I guess he assumed that because there was a purse bid for Kid Chocolate to make $1.4 million, that he was going to get $1.4 million, even though his career highest payday was like $200,000, and the purse bid doesn't count once Kid Chocolate drops out. So he was like, well, they weren't even paying me $1 million, so I ducked out of it. So I didn't fight. They weren't respecting me. And then a couple months later, he has a chance to fight Charlo on a Showtime card, which if that fight was on the card would have been a pretty good card. Yeah, I would have bolstered the card. It was still a pretty good card. I believe that was the Khan Alexander card. And he talks his way out of that because he said, I'm the only true champ on the card, and I'm fighting on the undercard. Meanwhile, how did he win his belt? Did he win his belt beating Vanez in a toss-up? A vacant title? I don't know.
Split decision.
Yeah, and again, he turned down another career-high payday. So he turned down 2 career-high paydays on 2 high-profile cards, and one of them would have gave him a middleweight title, which would have put him in line for a big money fight against Triple G, because all Triple G's opponents are making $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. So, you know what I mean? So, hey, if you want that money, take the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, whatever he was going to get for Korobov. We don't know. We just know it was a career high payday. Take that, win that, get the strap, and then go up and fight Triple G like you said you were going to. So I think he just destroyed his career. I think the guy's got a ton of talent, and the last we saw of him was in June against Brian Rose, and he turned down 2 career-high paychecks and fought nobody. And now who knows what's up for him.
I totally agree with everything you said, Kevin. For me, he had this possible Charlo fight lined up, like you said, on the Khan undercard. He said that he's on a level above the Charlos. He'd beat the Charlos. Then prove it. Don't just duck out and say, oh, you're above these guys and there's no need to fight them. And I'm a big fan of Andre. When I watch him, he's excited to fight. Everyone knows I've got a bit of a soft spot for southpaw. So, and he was really impressive against Brian Rose, even though Rose isn't that good. The split decision win over Varnes was, I think he got dropped in the first round, and then he kind of came on a bit later on in the fight. But yeah, he's exciting to watch. But out of Quillin, Andre, Stevenson, for me, it has to be Andre, just because, like you said, he's had 1 fight, he's turned down 2 big fights. And it's just been a waste of a year. Boxers' shelf life is short. You need to crack on a bit. Guys are fighting 3-4 times a year.
Especially those are 2 winnable fights. You know what I mean? And you're right, guys. And that's another reason why these awards are so hard. Nobody's fighting 4 or 5 times a year anymore. It's ridiculous. I don't know. If I was even if I was making decent money, like $200,000 a fight, I would want to fight 4 or 5 times. And even if one of those fights is only for $100,000, you know what I mean? Just get on cards.
Yeah,
it goes back to staying in shape in between fights. That's why these guys get so fat. If you're only fighting once every 6 months, after you fight, you're like, wow, I got 2.5 months till I go to camp. What are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me just jump in a bit randomly.
Yeah.
The chat, I've mentioned some great names. I think the 1-7 has mentioned a category Worst Fight Predictor of the Year. That award, he gives it to Ness of the Boxing Voice.
Him and Chemo got to be in the running pretty high.
Oh, shout out to my boy Chemo, but he's had a bad year for predictions this year. But I think that's the real reason he's ducking the prediction league, because his predictions have been so bad that he's thought, nah, I can't really put this on record, so I might just pretend that I've not been keeping up with it. And
if we were all just betting against Ness and Chemo this whole year, we could have funded our own website and had a ill shit going on.
And Local Mexican, shout out to him in the chat. He's wrote Devil's Advocate of the Year, MV2. Yeah, I think MV2's got to get that award, to be honest. Anyway, back to, I think, biggest flop of the year or biggest time waster. Ari, have you got who would you go for? Did you mention Quillin? Have I been to you already?
Shit. Yeah.
Would you go Quillin or Andrade?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Quillin just because of what I heard him say yesterday or the day before, where he was talking some shit about Triple G, saying how Triple G fight not worth it for him because of the money and all this shit.
Risk versus reward.
I'm sure if he fought Triple G, maybe not now because you haven't got a belt, Quillin. Maybe if you had a belt, maybe you'd get more. but you're relevant now. I'm sure he would get $1 million if they fought when he had the belt. That is, and that's bigger than any purse he has. That's bigger than any purse he's had. So he can't say that excuse. And this is the same guy that walked away from 1.4 million. So how much does he really think he's gonna get? 2 million, 3 million?
Yeah, and the thing about him is,
so I'll go with Quillen.
Somebody tweeted out his career high payday was like 500,000. So basically, all of Triple G's last 3 opponents have made more or what Quillen's career high payday is. So how is it risk versus reward when you could be, if you beat Triple G, you could become like a pound for pound type of guy, and you're gonna make more money than you ever made. So I don't get it. You know what I mean? But then again, if you're gonna just keep getting fed bums or paid money to step aside, I guess the risk versus reward changes a little bit. You know.
Yep. Hamada, what's your thoughts? Who do you think's made bad decisions this year and fucked up their career a bit?
It's pretty much all the Al Heyman fighters, really.
Yep.
They've all just shot themselves in the foot. You look at Danny Garcia fighting Rod Salka, a super featherweight. You look at Adonis Stevenson pulling out of a big fight, unification fight with Kovalev. It's just all the Al Heyman fights. I think, and it's a shame because Al Heyman hides behind the scenes, so the egg all falls on the fighters' faces and the promoters' faces, like Oscar De La Hoya and that. So it's a shame, man, but really and truly, it's all Al Heyman, man. He's a bastard, man. Freak.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you, Hamada. But I was gonna have like a hero to zero category, and this kind of covers it. And then you mentioned Danny Garcia, and yeah, Danny's.
Yeah, I think we could still go with that because that kind of changed it up.
Yeah, Danny's been big disappointment for me this year. Obviously, he had the fight with Herrera, which was a good fight, close fight. I don't really mind that he got the win, even though I think I scored it for Herrera. Most people scored it for Herrera. But then coming back and fighting Rod Salka, man, like that was pretty bad. Like, if I was Danny and I fought Salka and I got all that negative feedback, I'd say to Heyman or my advisors or whoever my team is, yep. I want another fight in December, just to put 3 fights on the calendar.
Exactly. Get me another fight before the end of the year. I want this bad taste out of my mouth.
Exactly. And for him not to fight again after that Salka fight is quite poor for me. Like, what do you think, Ari Hamada?
Yeah, definitely. Danny, I'd say. I can't think of anyone else. I'd say Stevenson, but Stevenson, he's not a hero. So Garcia, yeah, man. Because last year, after the Matisse fight, beforehand, well, people saying he was ducking him and everything like that, and he's gonna get knocked out. He won't even see 6 rounds, and then he beat him. Everyone was riding with him. He got the respect of every boxing fan, I'd say. On that good undercard on the Mayweather fight. So yeah, I'd say Garcia, man, definitely. First of all, not giving Herrera a rematch, and doing the even worse thing where you're fighting an unknown guy who's undersized, who's basically in there to get killed. He's basically getting paid to die, basically. So yeah.
That's why I couldn't give it knockout of the year, because I was legitimately scared for Salka basically breaking a neck, or when you're that level difference, like, you shouldn't even be allowed to spar each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in a reputable gym, you wouldn't even allow him to spar Danny. You'd be like, nah, man, you're not on his level. It's like a 15-year-old playing against a 12-year-old in basketball. Like, you just don't do it.
Yeah, it's not right. But guys, I'm thinking about trainer of the year. Salka could get into that category because he was training that guy. Remember that wicked corner advice he was giving? I can't remember the name of the fighter.
Yeah, I brought that up when he was fighting Berto, right?
Yeah, that was it, Berto. Oh, shit.
That was my guy from Jersey. I forgot his name now.
Oh, that was hilarious, man. Sorry, I forgot about that. But yeah.
I think Stevenson got to win the Hero to Zero. He went from Fighter of the Year pretty much in 2013 to a guy who had a chance of fighting Kovalev, Hopkins, and Pascal. And we ended up with Fanfara, which he looked awful in.
Yep.
And it drew shit ratings. It only got like 500, 600,000. And then he just fought this week, and then he just fought another bum that nobody knows or cares about. And he had one of the lowest rated fights of the year at like 300,000 in the ratings. So he basically went from a guy everybody wanted to see fight these big fights to a guy that nobody even watched this year. So I think that's got to be zero to hero in a division that's very top heavy and had a lot of good fights. And one was signed that he walked away from. So
Yeah, I think I'd have to go for Stevenson as well, just because he came off 4 good wins last year, and he fought twice this year against poor opposition. So, but Basilius in the chat, I don't think he mentioned it in relation to what we're talking about, but he mentioned Santa Cruz in one of his comments, and even Santa Cruz this year, he's not really had a
I wanted to
year.
get another topic I had was most delusional. You know what I mean? I wanted to get into those based on their interviews and stuff like that. So
Yo, Kevin,
this
is not a 5-hour show. You know, there's too many delusional boxers out there.
That is true. I think you get into the Paulie Malignaggi, the Leo Santa Cruz, and those guys. It's just bad how, and Andrade, of course, how what comes out of their mouths is like walking contradictions. Quillen, we already touched on all of it, but that's pretty much it.
Who's
on
been
a more
your
serious note? I saw somebody as prospect of the year. I think that's something that we should definitely speak on.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a silly one. Let's go to the prospect of the year then. Like, I know Beast Mode in the chats mentioned it after Jack Captain's question. He proposed the question, best prospect of the year. Beast Mode says Beterbiev. I think that's a great shout. I think you have to also mention Errol Spence. He's had a great year. I think Anthony Joshua. And there's another
Verdejo started stepping his
Felix Verdejo as well. So that's off the top of my head.
You know me, I'm biased. I like my boy Evgen Kaitrov. He goes by Eugene in the gym, but he's somebody I think people need to watch out for. Actually, on Dan Rayfield's Prospect of the Year article, he mentioned 2 of the guys that are friends of the gym that Shawnee fights at, that are always in the gym, Eugene and Marcus Brown. So I want to give those 2 a shout out. I don't think any of them. I don't know if they should win it, but I would give it to Eugene just because the first round knockouts of guys who've never been stopped before, and just because I'm biased and I've seen him in the gym fighting big guys.
At least you admit you're biased. But a few more names from the chat. Jack Captain's giving Joseph Parker. I think that's the New Zealand or the Australian heavyweight. He's also gone for Callum Smith, and I've got one as well. I think, is it Usyk? I think a lot of people are talking about him as maybe prospect of the year. So, yeah, I don't know. Hamada, Ari, you got any more names for us?
No.
Don't sound too.
We said Spence, yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned Spence, but don't sound too enthusiastic, Ari, man. Like, calm down a bit, man. You're sounding too excited.
No, I'm drawing blanks, man. I'm a bit ill, to be honest.
Okay,
I like the heavyweight, Joseph Parker. He looks good, man.
You know what? Like, I'm ashamed to say that I've not even got around to seeing any of his fights, man. That's pretty bad, that, isn't it? But yeah, a lot of people are saying to him he's good though. But I got a feeling,
out of these prospects we just named, who would be the first to win a title? You think, or who next year is really going to step up? Because think about it, people have been talking about Errol Spence for a while. Is this going to be the year now in 2015 where he steps up?
That's a good shot, because maybe Errol shouldn't be a prospect. Maybe he was a prospect last year, but this year he should have stepped up. It's an interesting one. I think Verdejo, man, has been looking really good. But again, I want him to step up and fight a bit higher position to kind of see where he's at. I personally, not to rep the flag a bit, but I think Joshua's going to have a good 2015. I think I've got a feeling, man.
You think they're going to move him up, start moving him along fast now?
Yeah, because he's already signed up to fight Kevin Johnson, and I think at the end of January, which is, even though he's a safety pin, etc., it's still quite early for Joshua to fight again. And I think it's good for him. I think he'll get rounds, and he'll be able to kind of see where his gas tank's at, because he's just knocking these guys out so quick that we're not really gauging at what level he's progressing.
Yeah. I think Beterbiev might be the guy closest, because they look like they're going to go the Lomachenko route. But the thing is, who's going to fight him? You know what I mean? Is Stevenson going to fight him?
Nope.
Is Bramer going to fight him?
Nope.
So it's kind of tough to say. You also got to look at it that way. But I think Beterbiev is the person that has the chance of making the biggest impact, because I think he's willing to take the biggest risks soonest.
That's well put, because they are pushing him quite hard and fast as well, aren't they? So I think that's a good shout. Hamada, you got any names that we haven't mentioned?
These prospects, I don't know. It's difficult to say. These prospects need to step up though, because if you think about it, next year's 2015, and we're talking about fighters that were in the 2012 Olympics. So 3 years into their career, they should be looking at stepping up, fighting the bigger names. So I don't know. I think Joshua might. They're talking about Joshua fighting in Newcastle, and then possibly pay-per-view with David Price at some time in the summer. Because apparently it's been put out there that Sky Sports are going to do 3 pay-per-views for the summer. So you can imagine it being Khan, Brooke, probably if that happens, Digel, Groves if that happens. So the next one might be, you know, Joshua in a big fight. So we might see Joshua step up.
Oh, off topic a bit, Hamada. Do you see Price versus Joshua pay-per-view? Because I think that's bad, man. Like that. Price, where's Price been? You know what I mean? Like, who's he been fighting? Joshua's just kind of stepping up. Like, how can you put that on his pay? Unless they stack the undercard, but stacking the undercard for Eddie Hearn is putting all his good fighters on against bums, so it's not really stacking the undercard.
I know, but he's going to try to sell it to us. Apparently, according to the results from the Value Cleverly, they exceeded expectations. He was saying today and on the Q&A with Kugan Cassius that they done well over that. They exceeded the expectations. So people's buying, so they might try and sell. That's the truth.
Damn, man. I hope not. But yo, shout out to my boy Amir Khan for giving Floyd Mayweather a deadline date.
That could go in the most delusional as well, right there, right?
Yeah,
he's a king, isn't he?
That's up there, man. That's up there somewhere.
Damn, that shit is funny. But you know what? I feel him noting a little bit like, hey, I can't be on hold forever. We talked about this last call. Like, is he going to be on hold forever and then be left holding his dick and having nothing to do? So at least now, you know, because that whole Ramadan, he's got to get these. If he's going to fight early, if he can get 2 fights in, he's got to make sure he gets that first one in early. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Queen Khan.
Queen's Khan getting it. But
Queen.
Ari, me and Hamada were just talking while you stepped away about Eddie Hearn talking about maybe 3 pay-per-views this year and before the summer, and maybe Price versus Joshua, man. And I know you're a fan of Josh and you think he might be hiding glass, but do you think this is pay-per-view worthy?
When have I said Joshua's hiding glass?
You said that you're a bit suspect about him, though. I'm sure you have said that he's hiding glass in the past. I'm sure you have, man.
No, I don't think he's hiding glass, but you never know. It's heavyweight, and his defense is a bit suspect at times. But I don't think Joshua Price would be a pay-per-view. I think the plan is. I've heard about that 3 pay-per-view. I thought we spoke about it before. Maybe not. Maybe offline we spoke about it. But I thought it was Miguel Groves is one, Froch Chavez, and Brooke Khan. I guess that's the 3 they're trying to make.
Yeah, but that's presuming you'd be able to make the Groves the Gale fight. That would mean Groves would have to turn down the WBC shot at Durrell and then go that direction. Do you think that's what he would do?
Yeah, but actually, I watched the interview today. Hearn had a little, he has them long interviews with Coogan, and he was saying that he spoke to Groves about it. Groves actually looking maybe to wait to do the WBC route. I think he knows that, the girls' levels now, so he'd rather make his have a go at Durrell, because if he loses Durrell, you never know. Maybe down the line, that the girl fight's still there for him. I guess that's the plan.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that fight might not be happening. So I don't know what's going on with the girl now. To be honest, Hearn's kind of messing him around. If you don't think, because all of a sudden the girl's not getting mentioned around Froch anymore. Now it constantly just grows the girl to keep pushing, even though the girl's mandatory and should be fighting for the IBF. So hopefully Froch gets stripped of that IBF if he doesn't want to fight him.
I think he'll vacate it. I think he'll drop it. I think he's just kind of like dragging it out, taking the piss a bit personally. But yo, let me go to my boy, Loco Mexican. He's on the line. What's happening, Loco?
What up? What up?
Yo, man, you're always holding down the chat.
Loco was attacking me in the chat, and he calls in, man.
Hell yeah! Had to call in. You're talking shit about my boy Amir Khan.
Yo, that wasn't me, Loco. He's my boy too, man.
Nah.
You weren't feeling the post office, the mailman book bag with them shorts he was rocking? Come on, man.
Hey, man, he do what he gotta do. Nah, hey, you said delusional about him fighting Mayweather, but reality, Who do you want? Obviously,
No,
everyone
I said for
Pacquiao.
putting the clock, like he's gonna force Mayweather to make a decision.
Just remember, he's with El Heyman too. So
Yeah.
that has, I don't know. I'm just saying, if Mayweather don't want Pacquiao, who do you want Mayweather to fight?
I don't care. I'm not gonna watch it. If he don't fight Pacquiao, I'm not gonna pay for it. I'm making a stand next year.
You ain't making no stand. You're just gonna
I
call
know,
your friends
man.
round.
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I'll watch anything on free TV, whatever I have paid for. But after I saw my bills this year with the fucking, even though I didn't pay for most of them because I would throw poker games, I don't want people at my house like that no more. And when you have to throw a poker game to afford a $75, $80 pay-per-view, I can't do it no more. Like I won't watch any of it. And I think a lot of people feel the same way as me when you look at pay-per-view numbers going down, you know.
Hey, just do what I do. I go to the bar and watch it. Only pay $10.
Or the radio and stream it.
Well, that too.
Yeah, but I can't watch boxing in a bar. I can't. I don't know. I kind of. It's too
Why?
much going on. I kind of need it to be right in front.
Well, probably it depends what kind of bar, because over here where I go, it gets pretty good.
No, I think if there's a nice girl in the bar, Kev might get distracted from the boxing and start talking to the girls.
Yeah, then it's over. But honestly, though, there's a bar on like every corner where I live, and none of them ever get any of the fights. The only fights they ever get is when my boy Sean's on the card, and they'll get it and throw a party. So that's the only time. Other than that, there's boxing's just, you know, it's kind of dead. And in New York, there's a lot more to do, and people don't bet the fights.
Loco, let me go through some of your picks. So, knockout of the year, what was your favorite knockout?
Garcia.
Nah, give me your real knockout. Come on, Loco.
No, for real, it is.
Right.
If you're talking about the way how the knockout happened, it has to be Garcia, because I think that was a badass knockout.
Well, if you're saying that, then I'd say the Waters one's better than that, and it was quite similar. The Waters one over
Darchinyan.
Yeah.
Nah, I still like the Garcia knockout, even though I didn't like the fight. But that's just me.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up.
I think that and the Mansoor knockout was probably the most like sensational, like oh shit moments, you know.
I think heavyweight knockouts, like cold, clean knockouts, always have that more effect because obviously they're bigger guys and they hit harder. So that's why that one impressed me. But Loco, fight of the year.
I'm gonna say Salido against Tersak.
Turdsap cocky Jim. Okay, trainer of the year.
That was heavy in the chat too. A lot of people on that one.
Yeah, it was a good fight though. Loco, trainer of the year.
I say nobody.
The Ghost.
Pretty much.
Okay. And your best prospect so far this year?
That's where I have my problem. What is a prospect?
Yeah, that's true. Is it somebody that's on the verge, or it's somebody that's
you got
far away?
Lomachenko. Lomachenko got like 3-4 fights, but then look, Canelo was a prospect like a couple years ago, but he had like 30 fights when he won. So,
I think if you're already on contender level and fighting for titles, you're no longer a prospect. Like I know, like last year, people were still mentioning Keith Thurman, but it's like at that point he was already headlining events and fighting top 10 guys. So I think when you think of prospect, you think of guys that by the end of the year probably move into that contender status. You know what I mean?
In reality, Thurman hasn't fought a top 10 guy.
Yeah, no, you're right. But you know, he was fighting guys with names and bigger guys on bigger shows and stuff like that, where you don't really see that from, you know, the guys that we mentioned. Besides now, Better Beef's coming on. Yeah, it's tough. It's your interpretation, man. It's tough.
Okay, shall we go for another silly nomination? I'm going for best boxing related out of the ring content. So let me give you some examples, like Wilder versus Charlie Z in that gym battle, that epic gym battle, like fucking a lot of Adrian Broner shit, like fucking getting on that scooter and almost falling off the scooter and shit. Can you guys think of any like stupid shit that happened out the ring involving boxers? Obviously, maybe all the shit that Paulie. Like, I'm a big fan of Paulie, man. But all the shit he's been saying the last 2 months, man. I know, Kev. I know you've been going at him on Twitter, man. And he's been condoning some fucked up shit. Like, it's only like domestic violence if marks are left up on women and all this shit. So
if there's only pictures. Meanwhile, I'm like, Paulie, don't you understand when you plead out and it doesn't go to court, the evidence doesn't get turned over? So I was like, but I you know what I mean? The doctor's report's not enough where they cite injuries, scarring, and concussions, or reports where the kid jumped a fence and ran to a security guard to call 911 after you were fucking up his wife, his mother. Like, come on, Paulie, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, ever since he signed with Al Heyman, he basically, he felt he got robbed in the Broner fight, bitched and cried about it because it's always somebody else's fault. And then he says Al Heyman's ruining the sport, and he goes and signs with him. And ever since then, he's been a mouthpiece for Al Heyman, and it's sad.
Let me get to the chat. Like 90% of people in the chat have mentioned Shannon the Cannon Briggs, and like he's provided with so much content. There was the restaurant, there was a shoe incident where he threw the shoe at Klitschko. Then I think he turned up to his press conference at a fight and took his shirt off and shit. Then there was the restaurant incident where
whatever you eat, I eat.
Let's go, champ. What you eat, I eat, champ. And then there was the best one for me, the speedboat one, where he created that wave and Klitschko fell off that little thing. He was sailing himself down upon on the river or wherever he was. I think that was one of my favorites. When I saw that, I was
knocking him off of the wakeboard with the waves. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was good. Also, I think. Sorry, I don't remember who said it, but there was someone mentioned Audley and Kelly Maloney in the Big Brother house. I never watched Big Brother, so I wouldn't know exactly what happened. But I think Kelly Maloney's got to go in there as well for doing the sex change and all that shit. So a lot of shit happened outside of the boxing this year as well.
What about Kell Brook getting stabbed?
Yeah, that's another one, man. That machete incident with Kell Brook. Ari, you were going to say something?
What was that?
Oh, I thought you were going to say maybe it was local, but Ari, you got anything, or Hamada, have you got anything?
No, man. I think I'll pick my winner if that's all right. I think I'll go Briggs.
Yeah.
I was going to go Brook. I'm not Brook, sorry. I was going to go Broner off that scooter accident. I was just hilarious. But Briggs, Briggs has been giving us entertainment all year. Definitely the restaurant one is my favourite.
Nah, man.
Whatever you eat, I eat, champ.
For me, it's Briggs, but the speedboat one. Hamada, what's your favourite incident?
What about Floyd and that watching people get shot and killed and all of that? You don't think that could be up there?
Nah, that's a bit morbid, Hamada, man. Why are you taking it to that level for?
Maybe Floyd in
Fatburger
30-minute sparring and smoking weed and saying that it was fake. I mean, that might get up there.
Or like Floyd fighting.
Yeah, but that was a bit outrageous, though.
Nah, what about Floyd fighting T.I. in Fatburger over that?
Oh, yeah, that's got to be up there, too. Floyd trying to read? That might be up there, too. Floyd versus a promo? That was a good one.
Floyd versus 50 with like all the challenges and shit. That was quite funny. That was some good shit. But any more? I think we'll call it quits. We'll go back to a serious nomination. Alright guys, Fighter of the Year. Hamada, I'll start with you. Who's been your Fighter of the Year?
I'm picking after that Japanese card.
Oh, so you want to see how the Inu fight ends before you make your decision?
I'll give it to him, but if he don't win, I don't know, man. I'm contemplating with a Crawford or Kovalev. I think Kovalev's win against Hopkins is probably better than any of the wins Crawford's got, but probably you have to give it to Crawford because he came from obscurity last year. No one really knew who he was, to selling out in his hometown. Great atmospheres over there. So he's probably made the biggest impact in the sport. So you might have to give it to him.
Yeah, that's a good shout. For me, it's difficult again because you look at both the fights that Crawford's had and the fights that Kovalev, and I've got nothing against people giving it for Kovalev, but for me it has been Crawford. I think slight level of opposition has been better for Crawford. I know like Ricky Burns was a bit shot, but he's still a decent opposition. Then he fought Gamboa Again, maybe not at a weight class you should be fighting at, but again, still decent opposition. And then Ray Beltran, obviously labelled a bit of a sparring partner, but again, he's still decent opposition. Where I think Kovalev fighting, I think Agnew and Capolero, I think if he maybe would have fought one of them that was a higher opposition, then I maybe give it to him, but for me it has to be Crawford. Kevin, what do you think?
I don't know, man. I wanted to give it to Crawford too because everybody else isn't because of Impact. But when you really break it down, like I know he went over there and beat Burns, but Burns is kind of trash. I don't know. Beltran's kind of a journeyman, and he's best known for basically being Pacquiao's sparring partner. When you really break down his wins, it wasn't 4 fights; it was 3 fights, and the Gamboa is probably the best win he had. I guess he made the most impact. I think the person who got fucked was Herrera. If Herrera would have got the nod versus Garcia like he deserved, and he would have got the win like he deserved in his last fight against Benavidez, I think he probably would have won Fighter of the Year. So I don't know.
I think he needs his own category, like who got fucked up most this year.
Fucked over the most award. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely wins that because that Benavidez decision was terrible.
And I think the Danny one was terrible. I mean, any way you score it, like Herrera wins 8 rounds. Like, I don't know. I want to give Herrera Fighter of the Year, but I guess you can't. And I don't know. I think Walter's wins were better than Crawford's if you really break it down. So I'd probably go with Walters for my Fight of the Year because he sparked out Donaire. He beat the shit out of another, a fighter that was on the level of Crawford's fighters. So I think he has the best win of those candidates. I mean, Kovalev, I love Kovalev, but I'll go with Walters. I think he made the biggest win out of all of them with the Nonito win and the fashion he won.
Ari's probably got a smile on his face because you've picked his Caribbean brother. Would you concur with Kev? Ari, would you give it to Walters or would you go a different direction?
No, I can't give it to Waters. I'll give Waters another award that I think we're going to do later, but not for Fighter of the Year. Fighter of the Year, I think, off the head, I think Crawford, beating 3 top 10 lightweights, in my opinion. At the time, Burns was definitely, Burns was the champion, even though he lost to Beltran. He was still a top 10 lightweight. Gamboa, everyone knows who Gamboa is, everyone knows his history. The way he beat him was good. Beltran, he's respected, he's legit. So I'd say Crawford. If not Crawford, then Crawford. I can't think of anyone else.
If not Crawford, we'll give it to Crawford anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really a weak year. Like, I really tried looking at who to give it to. Like, this is one of the weakest Fighter of the Year selections that we really have. I mean, if Pacquiao would have fought somebody better than Algieri, beating Bradley and another top guy, but when guys only fighting twice a year, it's tough. And then you get a guy fighting 3 times a year. It's like, all right, I mean, it was cool that he went over and fought Burns over there. You know what I mean? That made a statement, but at the same time, I guess I never had Burns on a pedestal as a top 10 type of guy. I just never thought he was that good.
That's fair enough. Okay. What should we go to next, guys? You guys got any topics? Let me just look at my list.
How about Black Hole Fight of the Year?
Black Hole Fight of the Year. Okay, let's go with that. What do you think, Ari?
I'm the one who came up with it. No, I ain't got one.
I don't even know what the fuck you mean by that. Is that just the old fucking Europe?
You could say UK. You could say the UK Fight of the Year for it because it's the Black Hole.
I couldn't go for Eubank versus Saunders just because it lacked a bit of excitement. It was a good fight, but it wasn't like really up there.
See, I thought that was a fun fight.
No, it was a fun fight, but I couldn't give it like Fight of the Year for the UK though. It's a bit much. I don't know. Like, does it have to be 2 UK guys, Ari, or is it just a fight that was in the UK?
Yeah, fighters in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd give it to Coyle Brazuelo because I think that was a fun fight to watch. So.
Yeah, might as well give it to that, and also Black Hole Fighter of the Year.
So best UK fighter.
Yeah,
that's a good one. It's difficult because Froch only fought once, so it's hard to kind of give it to Froch. Frampton, maybe he had like a decent, he had a good year. He won the world title, beat Kiko again for the second time.
Yeah, I'm going Brook.
What's
I'm going Brook because I don't know anyone who was picking him other than myself.
Yeah, I think Leon was picking him as well, but you can't just go for him because you picked him, man. You got to think of a better reason than that.
I'm going for Brook because I remember the amount of shit he was getting for weeks and months. People saying he could get killed inside of a round and all this shit.
And most people are pissed. Like, you know what? Why the hell is he fighting Brook? He should be fighting Thurman. And what the fuck's Brook getting the fight for? And then Brook comes over here and basically spoils the party. And I don't know. Brook's that's a good pick.
Okay, Hamada, what do you think? Best UK fighter? Best black hole fighter?
In the UK, there hasn't really been anyone that done anything, really.
I think Linear, again, in the chat, Linear 1030's mentioned De Gale. I think that's a good shout, because De Gale's had a good year.
Yeah, but he hasn't won a world title or anything like Brook has, so really and truly, you can't really look past Brook, can you?
True. That's a good point. But
LDN had a good thing too. I mean, Khan, love him or not, he fought two names at 147, and he didn't lose many rounds this year. No,
that's a good shout. But my boy London Boxman, also he has a discussion with me about Walters being fighter of the year, and he made some good points. But I did end up going for Crawford. But I can't really disagree with his Walters comments, same as the comments that you were making as well. So, but yeah.
I like Khan though. I'm not a big fan of his, but he fucking dominated Collazo. I thought it was boring with the holding, but you could say that about Brook fight too. But he put him down. He showed that he's a true 147 pounder, and then he dominated Alexander. So I don't know who did better.
That's true. Okay, go to another silly one.
I was thinking Cherry Picker of the Year award.
What do you think? Who would you give it to? Would it be
Mr. Danny? It's hard not to give it to Danny Garcia, but when you get all those fights out there was a lot of mismatches. Lucas versus the one guy he fought.
Yep.
The whole Garcia card.
Stevenson
versus this nutsack, whatever the fuck his name was he just fought.
Leo Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz versus TBA.
Yeah.
Fighting sparring partner on the Mayweather chief support. That's terrible. Making $750K to fight your sparring partner. That's disgraceful, man.
Peterson versus Santana.
Yep. Dipset.
There's a lot to Dipset. Y'all did him dirty over there in UK, son. Had your boy shelled up in the hotel room, man.
I'm a big fan of Dipset, man. I used to love their music back in the day. But yeah, you're right, Kev. A lot of cherry pickers this year. There's a lot to choose from. I'm going for Danny though, man. Fuck it, because he knocked my boy Khan out. I'm going for Danny as the biggest cherry picker.
In the year of cherry picking, still Saka is the biggest cherry pick of them all.
Yeah, easily, man, easily. All right, let's go to like biggest bullshit. Like only one that can kind of come to my mind is I think it was a fight on Fox Sports, either Fox Sports or ESPN Friday Night Fights. One of the guys got hit a bit low. It wasn't a big low blow, and he just kind of used all his 5 minutes and just lost the fight. Did you guys see that?
And then he said he couldn't fight, right?
Yeah. That was some bullshit, man. Like the guy was like fucking on the floor, lying down, doing nothing It's the only time I've seen the full 5 minutes being used. You know what I mean? Like I've never seen it before.
I've seen Hopkins use it a couple times.
I mean, like in recent
but
times.
he would fight afterwards, like he did against Roy Jones.
Yeah, he wouldn't just quit.
Yeah.
But that's the only one I can think of.
What about the guy Pascal just fought, who did the same thing?
Yeah,
Bolotini,
yeah. That was some bullshit as well, man.
Or Malik Scott for not getting hit and taking a 10 count.
Malik Scott just. I know MV2 still thinks there was a wink before that punch. Because
he looked like a little head nod to the left, and then he threw the 1-2 out there.
And then he was like struggling, like he pretending he couldn't get off the ropes, and he was like kind of like in a weird position where he couldn't get up and all that bullshit.
Yeah, man, that might be up there.
Yeah, that's a good one. But guys in the chat, give us some more ideas while we're
What
blabbering
about
on.
the Chinese heavyweight, the glass shoulder incident?
Oh
Do you
yeah.
remember? Was saying the guy's got a glass shoulder.
I can't remember what his name was. It Dong or one of them? He was on Friday Night Fights. Yeah, and he hit the guy in the shoulder, and he fell over like he fucking got punched in the face. That was quite embarrassing, man.
That was terrible.
Yeah, but that's all I can come up with off the top of my head. Ari, you got anything?
Yeah, Malik Scott.
We're giving it to Malik.
Yeah, man. I, that was dodgy, and they definitely planned it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are throwing out robbery of the year, I guess, after I mentioned Herrera on the chat. Were there a lot of robberies this year? A lot of bad decisions?
Trying to think back, man. Like, my memory's gone to shit as I've got older, man. It's hard to remember what was this year and what was last year sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of... I mean, the two Herrera ones were bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else was a bad decision.
There's another one that I can't fucking remember that everybody was pretty pissed off about.
Yeah, Beast Mode was saying the Tyson Cave one where
the
Atlas,
Cave one the other night. That was as bad as it gets.
Yeah, Taddy Atlas had
scores were completely flip-flopped.
Yeah.
No, but that's what he gets for ducking my boy Galad.
Galabum in the chat?
Nah, man.
But yeah, trying to think any others. Provo versus Algeria. No, I don't think
I thought Algeria won that fight. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, I can't really think of any more. So
yeah, maybe robberies weren't that bad this year. There was so many showcases there wasn't even a chance for robberies.
yeah, there was too many showcases and not enough robberies. But okay, let's just go on a little break and go to the prediction league while I bring it up on my computer. It's the last week of the league, 5 fights remaining on the 30th and the 31st, all in Japan, all the little guys. I put in my predictions before. I'll be honest, it was a kind of box rec predictions, looking at most people's box recs and trying to determine who's going to be the winner. And I tried to consult Nota the other day. He gave me a few options, but I think I went against him with one of the fights. I think I'm going for Omar Narvaez by UD. I think I've put in my predictions. Ari, what have you gone for?
Hold on.
Hamada, are you in the prediction league?
I am in it, but I keep missing the days, man, of prediction. You just reminded me, man, I'm going to predict, definitely. I'm going to predict.
Yo, the prediction league's asking why you're ducking him. Hamada, stop ducking the prediction league.
Nah, I'm just waiting for the new year, man. I'm waiting for the new year, man.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah, we're almost here. We're almost here for a couple more days, and then that's it. And then it's going to start off with what, Wilder and Stevan.
Yeah, I think we might do the Brian Vera, Monroe, Willie. Yeah, I think that's a Friday night fights. But yeah, you there, Ari? You got your shit up?
Did you say you gone for Narvaez?
Yeah, man. I've gone for Omar.
Nah, man.
Why?
Oh, actually, you know what? That fight's a bit crazy.
It's a close fight because
I think you'll get worst thing. He might get robbed if he doesn't win it.
Oh, because he's in Japan.
Yeah, and I see from that Narvaez guy's record, he has a lot of splits and majorities and that kind of stuff there. So, and this guy, I want this guy to win because he, I don't watch the weights, but he's only 21. This guy's 7 fights. He's already got world champion and shit. It's just it's good to see. I don't know. I guess Japanese guys don't go into the Olympics, but he must have been a very good amateur.
Yep. Okay, let me go through the fights for the people listening. Guys, if you're in the prediction league, you need to get your predictions in quite quick because 2 of them expire tomorrow for the Tuesday fights. Let me just bring it up to find out the times. So, the Omar Narvaez versus Nayo Inoue and Akira Yagashi versus Pedro Guevara. They end in 6 hours 44 minutes. And the other three, Alberto Russell versus Ryoichi Taguchi, Tagashi Uchiyama versus Israel Hector Perez, and Rigo the God versus Hisashi Amagasha. They all end in 1 day, 6 hours and 43 minutes. So yeah, get your predictions in quick for that. Ari's probably most going to win it. I know Marshy's in second place, I think. No, sorry, Birdie's in second, Marshy's in third. But you'd have to have a shocking night, Ari, to lose this on the last night.
Well, I might have one. I've never seen any of you guys fight before.
Yeah, that's why I put it in there. I don't want you to win.
Yeah, you're trying to sabotage me, to be honest. It's a bit... I should call someone, but there's no one I can call, really.
Nah, you can't. The problem is like...
You're sabotaged here.
Nah, you know what it is though, Ari? Like, you're quite unbearable sometimes anyway, so when you win the prediction league, you're going to be more unbearable.
Yeah, but give me a fair one, man.
Yeah, sorry, you're going to win it anyway, man. You're going to win it.
Nah, I don't know.
Alright, guys, we got two people on the line. I'll go to the person that first called. We got Nafi on the line. Are you there, Nafi?
Oh, you are, God.
What's happening, man? You good?
That's good.
You cool?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have actually spoken about it. HBO Showtime this year. What are people's thoughts?
We've not spoke about it, but for me, you got to say HBO have had a great year, and Showtime have had a terrible year. It's kind of
I'm Team HBO all day.
Do you think next year it might actually be a case of, like, I've sort of tried to, give Showtime the benefit of the doubt in certain aspects of it, but I think, with Al Heyman going to, what was it, is it NBC, the American sort of cable network? Do you think he's literally just fucked him over? Like, we
keep hearing that deal, but like, it hasn't been finalized or publicly announced. And at the end of the day, the budget per fight per card is like $800,000 to $1 million. Like, most of those fights are going to be on NBC Sports, which is a channel that's not in like 35% of the homes that have TV. So it's basically the same as the UFC Fox deal. Like, a couple of the fights were on Fox, but the rest were on Fox Sports 1. Same thing with like the deal that they have now with boxing on CBS or whatever sports, NBC Sports. So it's not really that groundbreaking when you break it down. So I think Heyman's fighters, if they're still going to make money, are going to have to be on Showtime, because on NBC they have like 2 or 4 dates that are going to be on like the channel that's the big channel. So that's going to get sponsorship money. Besides that, you're going to have Leo Santa Cruz versus TBA on NBC Sports.
Am I right in thinking that Mayweather has 2 fights left?
Yeah. This year is his last 2 on
fights
Showtime.
Left in that deal. So effectively, in a way, looking at the fights which have happened so far this year in terms of Showtime fighters with Danny Garcia and like Herrera, do you actually think once, say let's just put it out there, Mayweather says fights, I'm done, that's it. Has Heyman got any cards left to play with in terms of, if HBO are able to show all these fighters like Golovkin, even Canelo and everyone coming through, the guys who
that's the thing. Heyman's got 130 fighters. He's got the most talent when you think about it. The problem is he might not have a home, because he already dicked over HBO. HBO's at the point, that's where a lot of the Cold War started. They basically said, yo, we're tired of giving you Andre Berto versus nobody and paying $1.5 million for the fight. So they basically kicked Heyman to the curb. And now Heyman's basically destroying Showtime. So once Espinoza gets fired, which gotta happen, I would assume, especially if they have another year like this year, next year, he's going to be a guy with all these fighters and nowhere to put him. I mean, maybe then he'll be forced to make good fights.
Have you guys seen the news today? I don't know where I read it. It was Cotto's been offered $14 million.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Well, me and Cam were just talking about that, how only boxing and quote unquote boxing media would put out a story with no verification or references. Like, you know, all somebody had to do was call Cotto and be like, can you confirm this? So Michael Woods actually called Cotto's team and confirmed that that's bullshit and it never happened. So, but you know how it is. Boxing media and websites are so small and have no credibility that, you know, they can just throw bullshit out there and not get sued. You know what I mean?
Okay, this is my last question which I want to put out there. As much as I like Anthony Joshua, and I think he's going to be the next big hope, I am still very skeptical about the fact that he's never been challenged. I mean, I still think he's a bit like, do you remember with Wilder in that Hay video when his legs started wobbling?
Yeah.
I have still yet to feel confident that Joshua would be able to withstand a barrage of punches. I mean, because we all know he can whack, but can he take it?
Nafi, I got a question for you. What fight would Joshua need to have and get hit on the chin? What fighter would need to hit him on the chin for you to say, you know what, he's been hit by this guy, and now I know he's the real deal?
Do you know what? I think that's a very fair question. I mean, I think someone like what Hearn was saying about David Hay was out of line. It's way too soon. I mean, he's not had enough fights whereby you can put him in that sort of deep end. I think, what's that guy's name? What's his name? Tyson Fury's beat up.
What, Tyson Fury's last fight? Chisora?
Yeah, his last fight. Chisora.
Yeah.
I think Chisora would be an interesting one to put in there. I mean, looking at a lot before Tyson Fury, the last two fights he had before, he was struggling, really. But I think Chisora is, to be fair, it looks like Chisora is on his way out, to be honest with you. So I think it would be a pretty interesting fight to put him in there.
If he took a punch off David Price and didn't go down...
David Price, he'd probably whack him if we going down. Because David Price would have a chance to hit him in the first place to go down like a ton of rocks, wouldn't he? It would be... I mean, David... To be honest with you, Price is one of the guys who's sort of made me feel sceptical about Joshua in the first place, because until that fight, everyone was just... He was the man. You know, everyone was writing off Tyson Fury because he was going to be the man, but God.
Tony Thompson ended all those dreams.
Pardon?
Tony Thompson ended all those dreams for David Price.
That's the one. I mean, a lot of Scousers probably cried that night, or both nights anyway.
Yo, Nafi, while you're on the line, just give us your few fights. So who's your fighter of the year?
Do you know, funnily enough, it's going to sound really weird, but Amir Khan has really done it for me this year. I mean, I've to be honest with you, I've been a bit of a hater. I have been a bit of a hater when it came to Khan, but with the Kalaze fight, he held a lot, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was a bit of a holder, and everyone was just like, oh, you know, he's a bit scared, he's going to hold him. But the last fight with Alexander, I feel I watched that fight probably twice, and it's probably one of the fights which has got a lot of attention, whereby did you see him? He didn't hold at all, really.
There was.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he probably held a couple of times, but it wasn't so much. It wasn't a viewpoint which people were coming across. It was more of a viewpoint that whenever Alexander would come in, he'd be right in his chest to the point where the referee would have to break out because Alexander didn't do anything. Even then, like, I think Khan fought a completely different fight to whereby I'd think he'd sort of hold on for his life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, when it comes to, like, I've always been a bit sceptical about him, but I'm kind of on that Khan train at the moment. I'm sort of like, yeah, like Keith Thurman to me, I used to really like him, but I'm scared he's going to be another Broner, to be honest with you.
Yo, Nafi, man, jump on that bandwagon. I'm on it already, man. Jump off the the Thurman one. Ari's on the Thurman one on his own. No one's left on the Thurman one.
You want to give him Fighter of the Year because he didn't hold?
No. I'm not saying because he didn't hold, but it's just like it's not. I like Brooke, but Brooke just annoys me. Like, it's been so many years now. It's just a case of like, I don't think he's going to do much. I think Khan will beat him, to be honest with you.
I agree.
And all right, let me put it in a different way. If Khan went in with Brooke, right, and he was able to take a punch off Brooke would be fucked. It would be fucked. That would be it, because Khan will school him.
Agreed.
Am I the only one who thinks that? Or?
No, man, I agree with you. Nuffy.
I don't know about that, Nuffy,
like,
to be honest.
You what?
I don't know about that.
No, it's true though. Like,
but let's do. All right, okay. Let's compare who Khan has faced and beaten compared to who Brooke has struggled with. Just look at it in that way. Who's Brooke struggled with? Who Khan's sort of like, alright, Khan's been knocked out a couple of times, that's fair play, but when you look at the guys of both faced, it's like, it speaks for itself, really, do you know what I mean? As long as, you know, okay.
But at the same time, you're getting excited off the win of a guy that can't beat the guy that beat the guy. Well, not
but he
beat the guy that beat the guy.
But he beat him convincingly, man. You whitewashed him.
That's exactly
it. You whitewashed the guy with no power, though. I'm more impressed with the Porter win.
Yeah, but Porter was just...
Porter was seen as a killer.
Yeah.
I've never heard Devon be called a killer before in my life. Maybe a tickler, but not a killer.
Hey, but then I don't know.
That Porter win was a much bigger win. Come on, man. Porter was a guy where they were saying he fights Thurman, and that guy's the future of the division. No one was saying that about Devin Alexander.
No, true.
I know we're going into a Khan black hole right now. But
okay. Let me put it in a different way. Porter roughed up, and he beat him. Khan absolutely boxed the fucking life out of him. To the point where, like, even the trainer was just.
But wasn't it
expected?
Did you not expect it?
Pardon?
Didn't you expect it?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't
expected it.
No, I didn't expect that. No.
He feasts on southpaws. I don't really want to get back into this. We had this last week, whatever it was.
Nah, for me though, I
thought this was an end of year show, to be honest.
Nah, for me though, Khan's had two good wins.
That is cool, guys.
Khan's had 2 good wins at welterweight, where Brooke only fought like one good fighter at welterweight this year. Don't get me wrong, he did well against Porter, but Khan beat
but having
Palazzo.
a better year than Brooke doesn't qualify you for Fight of the Year.
I'm not justifying that. I'm just thinking that Khan's wins have been pretty decent this year, man. Beating Collazo in the way he did, I know it was a bit of a hugfest, and then beating Devon, whitewashed him, where like
and that's why we kind of put him up for the UK Fighter of the Year. Those were 2 good wins.
Not we. I didn't put him up.
I put him up.
Do you guys think? Where do you think Brooks actually going to go in 2015? I mean, if let's say it doesn't get the
emergency room,
where do you think he's going to go?
I think
if Khan stays ducking him, I guess he has to gets his mandatory out of the way and then fights another top 10 welterweight.
I hope he gets out of the hood and into the burbs and doesn't get into the emergency room.
The thing is with Brooke, he always reminds me of the type of guy who will say, "Let's go to Sheffield," and not a lot of people, unless it's, you know, he may be the champion or whatever, but it's like, fuck wants to go to Sheffield.
I totally agree with you, man. Like, if he was from London and like Marquez is coming to London to fight him, like people know where London is, you know what I mean? But they'd be like, "Yo, where the fuck is Sheffield?"
Sheffield was alright for Khan though when he fought Diaz and couldn't sell it out. It was right then, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I do get what you mean, but he's like.
I thought Khan had crazy fans. I thought he could sell out anything, but he didn't sell out that, did he?
He had fans like you that jumped off the bandwagon.
It's more of a case of like, all right, we can say that about Khan, but Khan's fought in America, he's fought in the UK, or whatever. But Brooke, he doesn't go any further than Sheffield. The man, he only left the country once to go and fight a guy who can't.
And he did his job. Unlike when Khan went over there and got himself knocked out by Garcia, he did his job. What do you expect from the guy? Cam, what's going on with the show at the moment, man? I don't know.
You're just taking on Khan and bigging
it. I'm taking it down the hole.
Nothing, man. Don't let Harry get to you, man. He's just a Khan hater and a Brook bandwagon jumper, man.
No, wait a minute. Bandwagon jumper, Cam.
It's because Harry.
Bandwagon jumper.
Yo, no, Harry. Wait, Harry. Be honest with me. Before we had this conversation before the Brook versus Porter. You were very torn. You were initially going to go for Porter, and the last minute, you changed to Brook, man.
Brook.
Nah, man, you would. No, were you indecisive though?
Different shows. The Boxing Voice I called in weeks before.
No,
I said Brook from day one. I wasn't one of these guys.
Nah, bullshit. That's bullshit. You're lying now, Harry, man.
I put my name down.
Nah, Harry, you're lying because we had the conversation and you were kind of torn in between both of them. You weren't sure.
I flew flag.
Nah, man, you're lying on air, Harry, man.
Over there ducking and chatting shit about
Harry, you're lying on air, man.
Talking about deadlines and all this kind of bullshit. Sound like a queen.
Yeah, we put it. Yo,
I'll ride with Brook.
Harry, man,
he might be injured right now, but I'll ride with him. I see someone who wants to fly the flag. I see someone who cares about this country. I don't see bloody Khan. Khan could piss off for all I care about. Harry, man, Khan can go LA or wherever he wants to go.
Harry, mate, you're a joker.
He can do what he wants. Fuck Khan. You're trying to shit on me. I'm not having that. No way.
Nah, man. Lie detector test, Harry, man.
No way.
We're gonna.
From day
one. Harry, we're going on Jeremy Kyle.
I said I was the only one who said it. I don't care what anyone says. You can say our people. No one else was saying on day one. I said it. I was there afterwards. With that smile on my face, seeing someone at welterweight doing what he has to do and winning that belt. I see Khan chatting shit, talking about like he's some prestige guy selling out 20,000, 80,000 arenas. The guy needs to come get what he gets. He needs to come get that chocolate brownie. Because guess what? That chocolate brownie is there waiting for him, and he knows it. And that's why he knows once that chocolate brownie is given to him, he has to go hiding, go with you.
What's more likely to happen next? Is it going to be Brook getting stabbed or Khan getting carjacked again? What's up with neither one of those guys having street credibility in the UK?
I think it'll be Khan eating a chocolate brownie and having an allergic reaction.
Khan getting laid out and getting his chain stole.
Ari, how long do you reckon he's going to be able to make the weight for?
I don't care about that. To be honest, that's ridiculous. So what? All right, then 154. That's no problem. He can get a belt again. It's not a strong division.
He ain't beating no one at 154.
He's supposed to be scared of what's the IBF champ name? Is he supposed to be scared of Bunridge?
K9.
Supposed to be scared of him. He's supposed to be scared of a Charlo.
Yo, Charlo beats Brook, man.
Come on, Cam.
Now, but let me get back. Let me get back to Khan for a minute.
In Sheffield, probably.
Why the fuck are we talking about Khan? I thought we were having an
No. What it is though? You run it. No. Listen.
When the show gets back to what we're talking about, I'll come back.
No. Listen, you're doing the beam now.
I don't even know who this guy is. He's talking. He sounds like London Box, to be honest.
No. Harry.
Hey, I'm not London Box, mate.
Harry, man. Don't be disrespectful. First of all, second of all, right. You're doing a beep because I let you rant, and as soon as I start to talk, you talk over me, man. So let me finish what I was saying.
No, I didn't talk over you, but I said I'm done.
Okay, you're done. Let me finish what I was saying then. You're talking about how Brook is on another level and Khan can't sell out of the UK. At least Khan has...
Wait, I never said another level.
No, again, you cut me off. Let me finish. Okay, so at least Khan has had multiple good wins at different weight classes. You know, he had good wins at 35, good wins at 40, a few good wins now at 47, yeah? Kell Brook, if you're honest in your heart of hearts, he's only had one decent win. Don't get me wrong, it's a good win, but when you start talking about Khan being shit compared to Brook, man, that's just disrespectful, because Khan's putting his dues.
When did I say shit?
Well, you're saying Brook is on a higher level than Khan.
No, I said he's scared to come eat that brownie, that's what I said.
He ain't scared to fight him, man, come on.
He seems like it these days.
He ain't scared to fight him, but yeah, I think we need to move on, you're right.
Talk to your boy then.
Yo, Nafi, man, thank you for phoning in.
Yeah, it's alright, mate. It's all good. I mean, I'm not going to go to Sheffield, but...
That's right, but you're going to Bolton, right? I think I know where I'd rather go, to be honest.
I only go to Wembley, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, man. Yo, Nafi, thanks again for phoning. I need to get to Jack. He's been on the line for a while, but
thank you very much, guys. It's an awesome show, man. I've been listening for weeks. Gets me through my work days occasionally, so thanks, guys. Ari, you cracked me up, mate. Absolute laugh.
Yo,
Wanna
thank
get
you.
man.
paid, but
Have a good
it's
one,
the end of
guys.
the year show, man. I don't really care about Khan, to be honest.
Yo, cheers, Nappy. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Yo, need to get to my boy Jack. Sorry to have you on the line so long, Jack. You there?
Hey, Jack, steer us back on path, mate.
What you mean back to Calm Brook? No,
Yeah.
no, just joking. How you doing, lads? All good?
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. It was a bit of a run. Harry was going on there. It was like fucking watching a horse race and the commentator not stopping for air, you know.
I'm a bit ill. I think you guys can tell I got a blocked nose. I just not today about Khan, please. Let's talk about awards. Let's give awards out. Not guys who sound delusional on boxing scene every bloody day.
I've got an award, the worst referee this year. I think for me it was Howard Foster, man. The first Froch Groves fight and the Gal Periban stupid premature stoppage. Them two big fights, both terrible stoppages in my opinion.
I'm trying to think of some refs. I think
Steve Smoger's another one. He's constantly groping a boxer, kissing him, rubbing his crotch on him.
Yeah, I think there was the ref that did. Was it the Molina versus K9 Bundridge fight? And he was like picking everything that like Bundridge was doing wrong, but all the things that Molina was doing wrong, he was like wasn't saying anything to him, and he was quite bad. And he looked like he was wearing pajamas as well. I don't know what he's had like a blindy shiny blue suit on, man. I don't know what he was doing, but apart from that, I can't think. Like, there's probably a few UK refs, like he said, Foster. There's probably a few more that have had some bad stoppages, but off the top of my head, I can't really think of any.
You know what I think? I think the UK is becoming notorious for premature stoppages now. I think fighters are going to think not to come over here because they might, if they get hurt, they're going to get stopped straight away. Just like how Germany is notorious for scorecards. I think building a bad reputation over here.
Yeah, we definitely have the worst refs. And nothing's happening. You see, same every fight. It's the same guys. They know they could do what they want, and you can see how they act in the ring. They're lazy. They just don't look like they really care. It's just like any other day for them. You know, clock in, clock out. They don't really care what they're doing, and they're just messing around and ruining the reputation. In my opinion, it's really a joke. Guys like Foster, like after what he did, he should have been out for a whole year, let alone a month, wherever it was he was out. Then he comes back and he's saying doing bullshit. And I think it's Gray, even though the girl's my boy, I think both of them fights, he was reffing them, the last two fights, and both of them were early stoppages. It's just, sort it out, man.
It was Howard Foster doing the Gal Periban fight.
Oh, yeah, was that? Yeah, well, that's Foster. Oh, yeah, that was even. Yeah, that was the worst one, actually. That was even worse. Again, Foster again, he hasn't learned. He hasn't learned. So no one sat him down. No one sat him down and said, look, you're making mistakes here. Sort it out. No one's saying nothing to him. He's just doing what he wants. Yeah,
they're getting that paper, man. Them promoters are probably paying them, saying, quickly, a little money under the table.
Yo, Loco mentioned in the chat Kenny Bayless in the second Floyd versus Maidana fight. He was pretty bad in that. I like Kenny Bayless as a ref as well, but he was a bit. Anytime he was getting close,
pick.
Yeah.
That was like a stoppage. People could panic, or people might have early stoppages. That might be their thing. But Bayless made a concerted effort to be biased for a full 12 rounds. Like he was TMT that night, and that was disgraceful. I know some people would crush the Brooke Porter fight as well because of the holding, but I don't think that was the same. That's a tougher fight to ref because the styles and the way that Porter comes barreling in, whereas Floyd was actually reaching out, grabbing, and pulling Maidana into him and didn't get warned once, and the only point deduction came on Maidana pushing him. I don't know. So I think that Bayless one was a concerted effort and a full 12-round effort of biasness. So I think that got a win.
Shout out to the 1-7 in the chat. Bitch move of the year. Floyd Mayweather forcing Maidana to wear Grant gloves.
Yeah, I gotta say the bite or Diego Chavez DDT too are probably the best things to happen in the ring. Diego Chavez DDT in Rios, or Floyd, he bit me through the glove, and he's crying, showing everybody his finger, and there's not one red mark on there.
Yeah,
but I do believe Maidana bit him, but those are two fucking funny things that I thought happened in the ring.
Yeah, I think it has to be the bite for me, even though the DDT was quite funny. Floyd,
but the reaction to the bite was pretty crazy.
Yep, definitely. Yo, Jack, we went through some of our picks before, but who's your fighter of the year?
My fighter of the year is Kovalev, simply for the Hopkins win. I think it's the best possible win he could have done in the division. You know, obviously with Stevenson ducking him, I think that's I think Crawford does come second, but I can't rate his wins. Like Ricky Burns is on the slide. He did come over here and beat him, but you know he's big on the slide. You've seen what happened in his next fight after that. Beltran, like you've all said, is a sparring partner, and Gambar's well out of his weight class. It's not like he just come one weight class up, is it? He was well out of his weight class, man. So anyway, I'd even put Klitschko ahead of Crawford. To be fair, like just on the fact that Klitschko, I thought Pulev was going to give him a decent fight. I thought it was going to be boring, and he went out there and smashed him, made him look fucking amateur, and everybody reckoned he was like a decent chance to give Klitschko some trouble. Like nobody was picking Pulev, but I think we were all expecting it to last at least, you know, the second half of the fight.
True, but who did he fight before that? Alex Leapai, you know, so it's kind of a difficult.
You can say maybe performance.
Yeah, but Leapai didn't even touch him as well. It's not like he was shit. I know it wasn't a big.
No, Leapai's shit.
He is shit, but it was a mandatory. It wasn't a voluntary. You know, he can only fight.
Yeah, but he chooses what mandatories he wants to fulfill. To be honest,
I don't know about that, man. That was IBF mandatory. I'm pretty sure.
No, it was WBO. It was WBO.
Oh, IBF was the last one, wasn't it? Sorry.
Yeah.
But who did he beat Boitsov before that? I think to earn it. So he was an undefeated fighter. So you know, like if everybody thinking that in America, most people think Deontay Wilder, I think, is going to knock out Bermane Stiverne. In my opinion, I think Stiverne's going to knock out Wilder. But I think if Stiverne does knock out Wilder and then Klitschko beats Stiverne, everybody will go, oh, well, who was Stiverne? You know, that's the same thing as saying that with Leapai. Do you know what I mean? He may not be all that, but he's done what he can to get there.
I don't know, Jack, man. Like, I would put... even if Stiverne loses to Wilder, I'll still respect Stiverne a bit more, man, because he's fought, like, Areola twice, you know, where Leapai, like, who's his best win? Really? Boystuff, I'd guess you say, innit?
Yeah, and then there was another good win as well. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it might be Dimitrenko or someone like that. There's another guy with literally 1 or 2 losses to his record and 30-odd wins.
I'm trying to look through his record now. I can't find any Dimitrenko, but he lost to Kevin Johnson in 2012, though, Jack. Come on.
Kevin Johnson used to be good when he wants to fight, though.
That's true.
Kevin Johnson knocked him out. He didn't just beat him, he knocked him out.
Now, that never happens.
But yeah, now I'll tell you what, Anthony Joshua will stop Kevin Johnson, not because Kevin Johnson will get battered at all, just because in England, you know, Anthony Joshua can stop somebody with a slap because we want him to win so much. The referee is like that Baktov guy. The reason why he had never been knocked out in however many fights is because he hadn't fought in England. Every other one of his fights would have been a stoppage if he fought him in England, you know.
That's true. Jack, any other stuff? Fight of the year?
Fight of the year. I quite liked Walter's Donaire, you know.
Yeah, I like that, but it was a bit short though, wasn't it? But it was still a great fight.
I prefer a short fight to a long fight. I don't want a 12-round decision. I want to see some action. I want to see both fighters getting clipped, you know. Also, Stiverne Areola, second fight. I thought that was really entertaining as well. I'm a big heavyweight fan.
That was a fun fight, and I liked the fact that it was on ESPN Friday Night Fight, so we had Teddy Atlas commentating, man, because I'm a fan of Teddy, as most of you know, so...
Jim Watt has got to be the worst commentator. That was another award I was thinking of while I was on hold.
I don't know. Do we give it Watt, or do we give it a joint award and give it Watt and Halling as a team?
They'd definitely be the tag team to be feared, wouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. But Jack,
what about Mauro Ranallo? He's got to be in there somewhere.
No, he's not as bad as Watt and Halling, though, Kev. I know you don't see that many Sky Sports broadcasts, but those guys are terrible, man.
You should like soundbite some of Jim Watt so Kev can appreciate it, you know, like for coming up next year. Just you know, because you're not going to get it, are you? He's terrible. The guy, he's drunk as hell every fight.
I'll put together a montage, Kev, like the worst of Jim Watt.
His scorecards are like just irrelevant.
Jack, let's get to another one. Knockout of the year. What's been your knockout of the year?
That was Andy Lee in the first fight of the year for him. That was that Homer Simpson one punch bang. That was beautiful.
Yep. And we've mentioned like prospect or trainer of the year or stuff like that. Any crazy stuff that happened this year? Any of them you want to give your 2 cents in?
I think prospect is Anthony Joshua. Like with Loco was saying, what is a prospect? Canelo can't have been a prospect. Like he turned pro in 2005, right? That's 9 years ago. Where however young he is, it's his fault for turning pro that long ago. But then again, with Lomachenko, he's been in the World Series of Boxing and had a massive amateur career, so you can't really count him as a prospect too. You know, like to compare it to different sports. When Cristiano Ronaldo first moved to Man U, he was a prospect. He wasn't a prospect when he went to Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't think Loco was saying that Canelo was a prospect. I think he was using that as an example, though.
Yeah, but I think like I think he was quite confused of what it means. It's literally when people are starting off their career in the first couple of years, and they're going to be a great star, or you at least think they're going to be a great star. You know.
Even that's difficult though, because if one boxer has 8 fights in his first year, is he still a prospect after 8 fights? So it's depending on the level of the fights and the level of the opposition. You know what I mean? It's a kind of fine line, really.
Yeah, I agree. Like boxing is it's that one sport which everything's subjective because there's no real right or wrong answer. You know, it's up to everybody's rankings and stuff. You know, all it is people's thoughts. Really, there's no right way.
Even who wins and loses a fight is based off subjective judging.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like we have supposed criteria, but that's subjective. Like is the guy chasing the guy around the ring, or the guy walking him down, or is it the guy moving that's controlling the fight? You know, it's that's why boxing always has the beef and everybody battling. You don't know shit about boxing type of thing because it is subjective. But like you said, you have a guy like Beterbiev, 8 to 10 fights, but he's further along than a guy like, obviously take another extreme example would be Gary Russell Jr., who 20 fights in was still fighting guys he probably should have been fighting at fights 5, 6, and 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think as well, in Europe, obviously, especially in Eastern Europe, there's a lot of guys having over 200 amateur fights. And in America, I think you'll be lucky if some guys have 50, you know. I think that's just the whole different way things are set up. So you have to take these things into consideration. Like, it is a hard one to weigh up. But yeah, like I think you can't be a prospect with over, say, 15 fights, no matter whether you've been fighting bums or considered like contenders, you know.
That's true. All right, Jack, Hamada, Kev, Ari, I'm going to wrap it up soon. Let me give a chat room roll call, and then I'll probably give final thoughts and we'll bounce. Okay, so Hamada UK, Casual Fan, Kid Galabum, Dave the Sinister, Ari Gold Boss, Linear 1030, Diehard Casual Fan, KH 516, BRD the 17, Nothing for Something, Boxing Historian, he's not phoning for a long time, phone in, Boxing Historian, Beast Mode, Eurobum's Fat Back, that's a great name, Dean Scores, shout out my boy, Scorsese's in the chat, yo, we're in the presence of greatness, guys. Marcus R, Mr. Dermo, Local Mexican, Z334, Nesmatic, Adam Lane, Sigurdum, Nafi 1989, Basilius, Jas, and 11 more guests. Okay, let's go to Hamada. Hamada, you got any final thoughts about the year 2014 of boxing?
Well, it's been shit, man. It's been rubbish. Been full of showcase fights. You just need these guys to start fighting. But in 2015, the schedule looks alright so far. From what we can see, we got Kovalev, Pascal, Wilder, Stavern, GGG, Murray. Got a few good fights. We got Alvarado, Rios. Gilberto Ramirez is on that in a step up against one Russian guy, but he's got a good record. He's only lost to Isaac Chilemba. So we just need these big fights in 2015. We need Khan Brook. We need Froch against Chavez. We need DeGale Groves. We need all these big fights. Frampton Quigg. The big fights in America. Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. We need these big fights, man. 2014. It's like we suffered because 2013 was such a good year. It's like that's for having a good year. Like that feels like what we got, but I don't know. Hopefully we just have a good year this year, man. Hopefully we see.
Fingers crossed, man. Hamada, thanks for calling in. Jack, you got any final thoughts about 2014?
I don't think it's been as bad as what everybody says. I think it's been a good year for British boxing, especially. Like, I think there's a lot more interest in the UK. Froch Groves was a great spectacle for the casual fan, and the hardcores loved it as well. Anthony Joshua looks set to keep the casuals rolling in as well, So I think things are looking good. It's in America it's gone wrong, really, with Al Heyman. That's the big problem. I think the UK is on the up, America's on the down. What you got to say about that, Kev? No comment.
Now you know
My
what?
bad.
Though?
I was doing something, but I actually agree. I mean, ask Cam. I got into watching a lot of the UK stuff. I think they do build-ups for fights much better than we do here in the States. Their fight build-up and emotion behind fights are great. So it makes fights that are lower level, kind of like the Saunders-Eubank Jr. fight, to me was an anticipated and fun fight, just as much because of the build-up and shit like that. But
has your Team Eubank hoodie arrived yet, Kev?
Huh?
Did your Team Eubank hoodie arrive yet, mate?
Nah, man, that shit got put on layaway.
Ah, damn.
I'm still riding with him though. I'm not giving up yet, man. I think this might open up his eyes, and now he knows he gotta, switch shit up a little bit and actually throw punches in the first 3 rounds. But I don't know.
If that boy
man.
listens to his trainer, then he'll be great. But like, if he goes with this arrogance, he's going to be another Broner. He's going to have all this potential and be not all that.
Yeah, but that's kind of tough. I know, like a lot of people say the Broner potential, but in the amateurs, he was never a highly touted amateur Broner, and even coming up, like he had a couple of ESPN fights which were close decisions where he could have easily been like 18-3, 18-2. You know what I mean? So. I think Eubank was a little sloppy. He needs to switch up, but he's got athletic gifts that are, I think, a little bit better than Broner's, and I think he has a chance, to do all right. But I agree with you that UK did have better fights and a better year than the US. US was horrible because of Heyman. I think fans are finally doing the right thing with not buying pay-per-views and giving low ratings to these shows. I think hopefully networks actually, listen and see these ratings and realize they have to make a change. That boxing fans, since we're such a small community, we get abused. They're like, you know what? Where the fuck else are they going to go? They're not going anywhere else. So we could keep shining shit and calling it gold, and they'll eat it, and that's what's up. And I hope that changes. And to me, I think people who really defend the year, like, oh, what do you expect? Don't be greedy. It is what it is. It's not that bad, and you can name 5 fights that are good. But it's like, hey, we have 26 dates, so if 5 fights that were really good out of however many, what does that mean? By the time you get to HBO or Showtime, and it's a double or triple header, there should be no showcase fights. They should all be good fights. And if they're fights that are basically with no meaning, like a Rios Alvarado, but at least that's a fun fight. That's kind of like a can't miss entertainment, even though there's really nowhere for the winner to go and the loser basically leaves town. So I think HBO's taking a step in the right direction by actually rejecting fights and forcing, guys to fight each other. They signed Canelo, which is huge because I think Canelo's doing the Oscar De La Hoya model where, you know what, you can have losses on your record as long as you fight everybody and they're exciting fights. So I hope that keeps up. And hopefully this Al Heyman reign comes to an end. And if it does, the boxing world will be in better shape. And Bahrain, I mean, if he stays around and keeps getting fighters paid, that's good as long as we actually get good fights. And I'm not going to give him credit for Daniel Garcia, Lucas Matisse 30 months after it happened. Like, that's a long time away already, and there hasn't been many good fights since. And to be honest, like, Brooke Porter was the only fight that he gave us that was, like, good pretty much, and that was a good matchup, and that's because I think he thought Porter was going to march through Brooke and set up that Thurman-Porter fight. So it was a mandatory. I don't know. I don't know if Andre Ward comes back. I would like to see him come back and set up that Triple G Ward fight by the end of next year. Other than that, I look forward to the light heavyweight division, the 147 division, 140. There's fights out there. If they get made, it could be a great year, but pay-per-views got out of control this year. Pay-per-views got out of control. 5, 6, 7 pay-per-views, $70, $80 here in the U.S. Like, it's ridiculous. Unless we get Canelo Cotto and Pac Floyd, I'm not paying for shit. And I hope everybody else does the same. If a Floyd pay-per-view gets a $600,000 buy rate, I think we'll be forced to get good fights. And I think the same with Pac and this Algieri shows that you can't just put up anybody and get 500,000-600,000 buys. So hopefully the fans keep doing that too.
Team stream, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was totally against that because, you know what, I used to like good fights. I like the quality HD TV and all that, but you know what? If you're going to give us shit and you're not going to have any,
it's going to look like shit whatever you watch it on, isn't it?
Exactly. And the same thing as like the Al Heyman, all right, you're going to give us 2 shit fights on the same card and act like you're building towards a showcase where they fight each other next and they never fight. Like, why are we to believe that we're ever going to get anything good? So I just think it was one of the worst years a sport could ever endure, and I hope, like HBO, I'm giving a ton of credit for. Meanwhile, their year wasn't that good. It's just Showtime is so bad. So, I don't know. I think everything's all set up for it to be a monster year next year. And I'm going to come in there with a positive attitude. But if shit goes sour, I could be real casual Kev by the end of the year and barely watching the sport, man.
We can't have that.
I want to see Khan Brook next year. I want to see that more than I want to see Fighter A versus Fighter B.
I want to see the 4 fights I want to see are, of course, Floyd Pacquiao. I want to see Cotto Canelo, Khan Brook, and Chavez Froch. I think are 4 fun, can't miss fights, and those are ones that I want to watch. There's, of course, other great fights that could be made, but those are the high-profile, fun fights I want to watch.
Nice, Kev. Thanks for your final thoughts. Ari, my boy, you got any final thoughts about 2014?
Nah, Hamada and Kev said it all. I just want, less showcases. Because, too many events where we're going into these cards and we know who's going to win. And even if we try and bet on it, there's no way you're making money on it. It's just pointless. It's just a waste of time, in my opinion. And we need less of that. Because near the end of the year, I just grew tired of it. And I didn't even watch the Stevenson card in the end because I just knew what was going to happen in every fight. It was just, there's no point. So we need more 50-50s, of course. Heyman, if you're going to do something, then do it early in the year so we see it, and then less of the bullshit showcases on Showtime, hopefully. And HBO improving. They had a better year this year. But like you said, it's not like they really had anything great. It was just that Showtime shit the bed. So that's all I want, man. More 50-50s, less showcases, less politics, more guys, fighting for legacy. And if they can make money in a fight, take the money fight. But don't duck both. Don't duck the legacy and the money. What's the point? You're just sitting on the shelf. So that's what I'll say.
Totally agree, Ari. Totally agree. Okay, guys, that was our last show, 2014. 2015 is almost upon us. If you're going out on New Year's Eve, make sure you be safe. Hope you have a good time with your families. Hope 2015 is a good year, successful, healthy year for you guys. We may have a show next week. It depends if enough of the panel are free. Obviously, there's not much to talk about. The fights are starting in about 2 weeks. So, yeah, just keep an eye out on Twitter. I'll post if we have a show or not. Thanks, guys. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the song, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre. I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Do we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass.
Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition. We are live every Monday, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. UK time, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern.